Fighting Radio.
Hello and welcome to this brand new edition of 5 Round MMA. My name is Alex Ramirez. Alongside me in studio is Albert Cita. On the phone, our East Coast correspondent Guillermo Cita on his way to. You guys where Disney World right now? Where are you at?
Disney Springs, actually.
I don't know the difference, but I'm assuming. Oh, okay.
Oh, for us SoCal people. Okay. Well, sure, greatly appreciate you taking the time, Governor. I know you're out there on the East Coast, a little bit of time for difference. But we got a lot to talk about. UFC on Fox. Hashtag UFC Vancouver took place on Saturday night. I think coming into this card, I was kind of excited because there were interesting fights. A lot of them had a lot meat on the bone, I like to say. You know, there weren't any title fights, but a lot of important implications. I mean, the return to Paige VanZant.
Well, it had title implications.
Yeah, not directly, but kind of indirectly. I mean, Carlos Condit versus Demian Maia could be the future contender, and then also Anthony Pettis' debut.
I figured that was a number one contender fight, wasn't it?
I think so. It depends. It depends who you ask.
How do they call it? Isn't it like title eliminator?
Something like that.
I think that's what it was. A title eliminator match.
And then also Go ahead.
I'll wait for round one though.
Okay, so. And then also the featherweight debut of Anthony Pettis. So let's start round number one, if you will. Main event: Carlos Condit versus Demian Maia in the welterweight division. Guillermo thinks he was number one contender bout. It wasn't really said so. Carlos Condit is coming off a loss, right? Carlos Condit, or did he win?
Yeah, but I think it was a number one contender fight only for Demian Maia.
Oh, okay.
This guy has beat everybody that he needed to beat, and I mean, like,
except for Rory McDonald. Let's not jump too ahead.
But he's taking everybody down. He's on the how many? I know Albert has it on Wikipedia. Fight win streak in the welterweight division.
You're close, but we'll take that.
It's funny because whenever a fighter switches weight classes, the biggest fan of the moves is always Joe Rogan, right? This is a great move for him, and then but this has actually been a great move for Demian Maia. I mean, this guy was a former title contender in the middleweight division. Like you said, he lost to Rory McDonald, and ever since then, he's what 6 fights in a row. Pretty much, he's either getting a decision by using his grappling or he's choking guys out. So I mean. Guillermo, 6 fights in a row, just beat the former interim champion, Carlos Condit.
Yeah. Well, who's left? My point is, who's left at welterweight for him to get a title shot?
Here's my idea. I text you guys yesterday. This is my idea.
Blew my mind, by the way.
Because I want to see Wonderboy versus Tyron Woodley. I think that should happen. That needs to happen just for the sake of keeping the division going forward. But there's been talk of GSP coming back. Why not put GSP against Demian Maia? Winner gets a title shot out of Wonderboy or Tyron Woodley, like that.
And Alex, I mean, I hate to already discredit GSP, but I could see Demian Maia choking out GSP.
Whoa!
Wrestling on the ground and pray and lay. You pray and lay on Demian Maia, he's gonna choke you out. So I love the matchup. I know people won't be big fans of it because their fear is that Demian Maia might be too boring. But Demian Maia is that dangerous on the ground that I could potentially see him having a high percentage chance of beating GSP over anybody else in the division.
And also, he was a former middleweight, so the size advantage won't go to GSP either. Because my other thing, he's a big welterweight. So I'm just saying, unless the UFC is serious talking about GSP coming back and fighting for titles, or they just want to come back in a sexy fight. But if it's title implications, I think Demian Maia versus GSP is the way to go. Albert, what do you think?
I love it. First of all, it's a good way to get GSP back into the picture. I think if he beats Demian Maia, there's no question about why do these guys get a straight up title shot after being gone for so long? I mean, he'll prove right there and then that he deserves it if he does beat Demian Maia. And on top of that, I would even watch if this was just if this was on Meta Morris's grappling only thing, I would still watch it. I'm very intrigued to see how good GSP's ground game really is going up against I think the best jiu-jitsu guy in MMA.
Yeah.
Well, Albert, just because you agreed with me, I'm going to switch it up now.
You son of a gun.
I don't think GSP should even allow Dana White to say, hey, you want Demian Maia? I would be embarrassed if I ever heard that being said.
Embarrassed? You just said he was a 6-fight win streak. He beat everybody there's to beat. Who else can he beat?
Let me tell you what. GSP is a champion who never lost the belt.
True.
Why can't I just come in?
That's not true. I had Johnny Hendricks winning that fight.
Why do I have to do a warm-up match when I never lost the belt to begin with?
True. Well,
I gave you the belt back.
But then you clutter up that spot. So Demian Maia wants to wait, and then we're gonna assume that GSP wants to touch right after the Woodley Stephen Warren time. What's gonna happen? You just let Demian Maia chill for a year?
You're gonna do Tyrone Woodley versus GSP for the title. You're gonna do Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
But it's already booked, no?
No, it's not booked. It's just a strong rumor. But I think they want a sexy fight. They want a sexy fight for GSP. So I think Demian Maia, even though I want it to happen, it might not happen. I think they want these so-called super fights to happen when he returns.
I think Guillermo doesn't think Demian Maia is sexy. is what I think is going on here.
Okay,
not sexy.
We got about 50 seconds left. Carlos Condit has 1 win in his last 4 bouts. What's up with him, Guillermo?
Well, the thing with Condit, I mean, like they're feeding him to the wolves. I mean, what do you expect from a guy? I mean, fight in, fight out. I mean, I would not like for Carlos Condit. It's just back to the drawing board. I bet you if he were to compete against some of the lower, top 10 guys, I think he could still be relevant in that division. It's just, I mean, like you got a bunch of killers he's been going after, like fight after fight after fight. I mean, what can you expect from Condit?
Yeah.
Let me just say one thing. Nate Diaz. That's Carlos Condit's future. That was a good matchup. I think everyone's been dying to see the Diaz brothers. So
he's gonna kill them both or what? He fought Nick already. Someone's giving Nate.
Yeah. No, I was thinking Nick.
Oh, you said Nick
because it was a controversial decision. And yeah, I meant Nick Diaz.
209.
Yeah, there you go. Correct
you beat one of them. You got to beat them all. So that's it for round number 1. Stick around for round number 2. We're gonna talk about the Anthony Pettis' chances in the featherweight division. So do not go anywhere. All right, welcome back. Now it's time to continue this conversation with the UFC Vancouver. Co-main event was Anthony Pettis versus Charles Oliveira. Pettis, former lightweight champion, making his featherweight debut after having a lot of un-Showtime-like matches. I mean, he lost against, who did he lose to? Edson Barboza. Before that, he lost to Eddie Alvarez, and before that, lost to Rafael dos Anjos. So then maybe a change of division would do good. And then actually, it did good for the short term because he choked out Charles Oliveira with a submission guillotine in the 3rd round with under 2 minutes. Guillermo Cita. Anthony Pettis, future featherweight king. Should Conor McGregor and Jose Aldo be shaking in the boots right now? Now Showtime's down there in the featherweight division.
No, he's not. He's not even in the featherweight radar. To be honest with you, I mean, like this is just a warm-up match to see if he can even compete at featherweight. Talk to me when he faces a Cub Swanson. Talk to me when he faces a Frankie Edgar.
A Ricardo Lamas.
We could see a Ricardo Lamas. Then we can see if people are actually shaking their boots like a Jose Aldo and Conor McGregor. Right now, he's irrelevant in the featherweight division. He's beating guys on the lower top 10. I mean, like, talk to me when he's beating top 5 guys.
A Max Holloway?
A Max Holloway would be perfect. We saw Max Holloway go the distance with Conor McGregor. So, I mean, like, and didn't Charles Oliveira lose to Frankie Edgar really bad?
I wouldn't say really bad. I think Charles Oliveira stuck in there.
Yeah, it was decision. So
he finally made a bleep in the radar, but nothing to be too concerned about.
Albert, with guys like this, with Conor McGregor coming back and then Jose Aldo kind of reemerged himself as the interim featherweight champion, then Jose Aldo, Anthony Pettis coming down. Is Max Holloway getting lost in the shuffle? I mean, this guy he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fight win streak.
Yeah, I honestly do see Max Holloway as the future champion in this division. But and it sucks for Max Holloway that he's kind of getting lost in the shuffle when in reality he should be right in the shuffle.
Yeah.
But the thing, the true question, let me just say, the true question about Anthony Pettis is his ground game. The last three people that beat him was because it went to the ground. I don't think it has anything to do with Anthony Pettis' stamp. I mean, like if you look at Jose Aldo and some of those, you threw out Cub Swanson. I do see Anthony Pettis being some of those guys because it's stand-up for fighters. Yeah. But the real question is can he be a ground game person? I mean, Gilbert Melendez, Benson Harrison, Don Cerrone, they all stood up with him, and guess what happened? He was in the winning side of that, and then he went against Rafael dos Anjos, Eddie Alvarez, and Edson Barboza, who all took him down, and that's where the real problem was at.
Let me tell you something. There's Clay Guida in the featherweight division, so as long as Clay Guida in the division, I got to see that matchup before Anthony Pettis can even move forward.
And then again, what did Clay Guida do? Keep him on the ground.
It wasn't a impressive performance, but Guillermo, you're saying like hold the horses, right? Anthony Pettis still has a lot to prove because this guy is coming off 3 losses in a row, right?
Well, first of all, before we even continue on in the featherweight division, either make a decision with Conor McGregor, either strip him of the belt or have him fight at featherweight because he's holding up everybody else. We talked about Max Holloway just right now. It's unfair for the guy, and the only reason why right now we should be talking about Jose Aldo versus Max Holloway for the championship, but we're not.
Yeah.
We're talking about what Conor's going to decide. Make the decision already. Either strip him of it, or already announce Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor too. Obviously, they're not going to do Nate Diaz. I know Conor McGregor's hurt, out for 6 months or something like that from his foot. But make a decision. If the next fight is going to be at featherweight for Conor McGregor, say that. If not, strip him of that and let's move forward.
Yeah, even if Conor McGregor leaves now with Anthony Pettis in this division, hopefully full time, there's enough star power in it. I mean, like you said, Frankie Edgar's still not going anywhere. Jose Aldo still has draw power. Anthony Pettis still has drawing power. I mean, Max Holloway's a future star in the making. You have guys like that. Cub Swanson has a good following. So this division isn't in need of like a desperate star. And we've come to the conclusion that pretty much Conor McGregor is above any division right now just because of his star power. So he doesn't really need a title anymore. I mean, you can do the whole boxing thing and just put a bunch of fake leather titles around him and have him walk out if you want for appearance wise. But like you said, I think now with new blood rising almost, you kind of need this featherweight division needs a direction to go to.
And I really do think Max Holloway is.
I like that Hollywood.
But I really do think he is the answer here. I know Frankie Edgar likes to call himself the answer, but the real answer is Max Holloway. I do see him beat him Jose Aldo, and I do see him as the future champion. And I really hope he doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Yeah, I think that was an exciting win for Anthony Pettis, but like we've been saying, he has to beat a Ricardo Lamas, a Dennis Bermudez, someone that's really known for their ground game, stuff like that. Dennis Bermudez, dude. Come on, bro. Don't act like you don't know the Fullerton King.
Well, I know the guy chokes when
wow.
Big implication.
Well, I know that too. Anthony Pettis does own a win over Jeremy Stevens. I don't know if he wants to maybe try and run that back in the featherweight division. So we'll see. That's it for round number 2. We'll see what the future holds for Anthony Pettis if he fights again in the featherweight division. But coming up, I want to talk about the return of Paige VanZant, 12 gauge, and a pretty impressive knockout win for her. So do not go anywhere. Time for round number 3. Saturday night UFC card also marked the return of its darling of the strawweight division, Paige VanZant, after a loss to Rose Namajunas last December, and then a very successful stint on Dancing with the Stars. I think she came runner-up.
Wonderful.
Yeah, she came and scored a head kick knockout of Rowdy Beck Rollins in the second round. Impressive performance.
But
it was a TKO.
It should have been a TKO.
It's listed here as a knockout, but it was a TKO.
What comes to mind is what you always say, Alex, where it's like they were supposed to beat them, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's weird when you always put in that situation. You're supposed to beat them. You beat them. Do you get credit?
I'm a big fan of Paige VanZant. I think she's a star. I mean, yeah, she's not the champion, but she's the face of the division. I mean, like that. But I mean, we shall hold the brakes in saying that she is nowhere near a title shot. I think it's the UFC's best interest to keep her away from Joanna Jędrzejczyk because we all know how bad she is. So I mean, is being the face of the division more important than being the champion in this case, Guillermo?
She's not the face. She's not the champion, dude.
I mean,
what was the last Jędrzejczyk commercial you saw?
Well, she has a nice face, but that's it. I mean,
but she is the face of the division.
I mean, Albert made a good point. After the knockout, what did run right away? What was the first commercial?
They went straight to a Metro PCS Paige VanZant commercial as soon as she won, and I didn't see no Jędrzejczyk Metro PCS commercial.
Here's my question to you guys: If she's the face, after she throw her to the wolves a couple more times, she's not ready for it.
Don't do that. No
longer going to be the Metro PCS girl.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So what you do is you build that face. She's not. I wouldn't say she's the face now, but you build that face and you build it slowly. Because if you already throw her to Joanna J, those Metro PCS. I mean, nobody usually cheers for if you're losing, especially if you're losing.
Yeah.
Anthony Pettis, dropping off. So you want to build on that. Yeah, I mean, she's young enough, and I mean, like she has a skill level, but don't right away go. We saw what happened against Rose. Now imagine against Joanna J.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Yeah,
I would just hold off a little bit.
Oh yeah, I completely agree.
Right now she's ranked number 10, which I think it's a perfect spot for her. And this is one of the rare cases where I would have her literally fight the person right above her, which right now it's Mariana Moros. And then if you beat her, then literally the next person up and literally have her climb the ladder, which is a very rare thing to do in UFC, is to actually fight the next top ranked guy one at a time in order. And I really think that is the route they need to take, and that's the best route.
Yeah, I think the UFC and her management need to be on the same page here.
So because you guys agreed again with me,
Yeah, flip the squid. Just feed her to the wolves.
Because now that I think about it, let's give her Joanna J on her next match.
Don't even.
Whoa. At least Tisha Torres. Come on, Guillermo.
Hey, think about it. If Paige VanZant beats Joanna J, think about the superstardom that this girl will take over.
Yeah.
Think about the Sports Center highlights. Think about the Sports Center segments. I mean, even beyond Sports Center. Think about, GQ. Think about above and beyond this.
Shape Magazine, Women's Fitness.
But
WWE.
the only way she's going to get that credibility is she slays Goliath.
Well, I mean,
right?
yeah. I think credibility and stardom are two different things in this case.
Look, Guillermo, if you work for creative, that's a beautiful story. But it ain't going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, she can have both, but I really do think that I think her management and the UFC realize the potential here. Like Albert said, let's do one at a time. She even says too, like, I'm nowhere near where I need to be right now.
You sound like a GSP fan, dude.
I am a GSP fan
because he is.
I think they're hoping too. I think in the years that she's rising, because she's only 22, maybe in that.
You sound too professional just for me, Alex. You gotta take risks.
Well, I think
high risk, you get high reward.
I think she's hoping that maybe in the time that she's ready for a title shot, maybe Joanna J, maybe they open up a women's 125 division. She could go up there and she could, and then Paige VanZant could be the queen of the 115er. So,
Alex, you sound very professional.
I am a fan of Paige VanZant, and I do not want to see her get hurt. That's why, Guillermo.
And the main thing here is, in all honesty, she only has 9 fights, right?
Exactly.
She's 22. There's no need to rush. Again, like the
spotlights. People are gonna ask you questions because she's in the commercial. She's she's on all this stuff outside. So okay, who is she? What has she done? She's she's not champion.
Don't hold the age against Paige VanZant. Look at what John Jones was able to do.
But John Jones was one of the rare, phenomenons out there. Yeah. That was the whole argument between Phil Davis and John Jones, where like one was like a gradual increase, while the other guy, I mean, you could put. Don't get me wrong. If Paige VanZant was going out there, like let's say the next 2 or 3 fights, Paige VanZant goes in there and just demolished. No, because she did not come out clean though. I mean, like when John Jones was going in there, the guy was coming out like if he just did like a sparring session. She didn't. I mean, if she goes in there the next 2 or 3 fights and just like blows out her opponent, she looks freaking Anderson Silva like you. But all means, give her the title. But like, as long as as long as you keep seeing like little flaws in there, you gotta keep building her up until you're comfortable putting her in there. We know she's tough. Okay, but. Come on.
All right, we're now. We're going to take a break and enter the championship round, so don't go anywhere. It should be a lot of fun. Welcome back. Time to enter the championship round. So we don't often talk about Bellator MMA as much as we probably should.
We really should, though.
This past Friday, Bellator 160 took place in Anaheim, California at the Honda Center. Main event between former UFC lightweight champion Benson Henderson against Patricio Pitbull. Winner would get a title shot at Michael Chandler and his belt. Actually, I like Bellator said that they had Michael Chandler be at the weigh-in. So after they both weighed in, he was like in the middle holding his belt. So
just so you remember
what this fight's for. And once it was over, I couldn't believe it because like whenever Bellator tries to put on a genuinely good show or like to draw attention, it never goes out the way it planned because the Pitbull versus Henderson bout ended in injury where Pitbull broke his shin, and so by default Benson Henderson's the winner and now we'll face Michael Chandler, which is kind of exciting. But I mean, people were kind of expecting a pretty good bout and we got a stinker.
Yeah, and even the very few exchanges we saw, I wasn't that entertained.
Yeah, that was the kind of the consensus. Henderson better bring it or lose Chandler.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping to at least see some kind of big action before this thing got stopped. But I mean, it is what it is, I guess. But weird. I didn't even see where exactly he got that leg injury. I know they repeated like the last, like I think the last couple of minutes what happened, and I didn't see anything there. I didn't go back and check it out though. So it was just very weird, a weird ending. I actually saw it. I was watching it at a bar. Yeah. And everyone had the same like what
happened?
Yeah, and like no one understood. Like again, they didn't show a good replay of exactly when he broke it.
Bellator, their production.
It just seemed it was a very anticlimactic thing. I think the best highlight of the whole night was Machida's brother Chinzo Machida doing his wonderful knockout, and then Roy McDonald's entrance and everybody else's entrance
was like the highlight of it all.
But I will say this though, just to know for all those Inland Empire people, there's a lot of love for Saeed Awad at that bar. A lot of people knew who he was. A lot of people were cheering, and that's cool that local people go for their local fighters.
Yeah, he did lose a decision.
But he still had a good fight. But I just thought it was awesome just to see that the local crowd goes for the local fighter.
Yeah, so Benson Henderson is now 1-1 in Bellator since leaving the UFC for a pretty big deal, I would assume. I'm a big baseball fan growing up, and one of the things you talk about people who play for contracts, and when they get a contract, the big contract, they kind of just float it in, and the next couple of years aren't really that good. They don't deliver as far as production value-wise, on the field. Could this be a case for Benson Henderson? Maybe I got a big contract. I'll just show up to the fights. I mean, I'm sure he's a professional, but I mean, he lost his welterweight title shot, and then in this bout, he didn't really look too impressive. But yeah, it was only 2 rounds. Am I just kind of reaching here, or do you think maybe I
don't know. Because,
or do you think maybe we should just see how Roy McDonald is to see if that?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like I feel the same way too. For some reason, I feel like these UFC guys really don't put 100% effort
when they leave the UFC,
or it could just be that it's a big like mental dump. And maybe they just can't perform to their fullest. Because
hype.
Yeah, I really do think that. I mean, even like Roger Wetler, like I remember how big a difference from UFC to Bellator was, and everyone kept saying like, "Oh, it's because he was never really a good fighter." But I was like, I don't know, man, because I saw a spark in Roger Wetler in UFC, and in Bellator it seemed kind of deflated.
Yeah,
and that's why I get the sense on Benson Henderson that he looks deflated a little bit. Like, I don't see the swagger isn't as the same as it was in the UFC. Because if you go back and watch some of Benson Henderson's swagger, it was ridiculous how much swag that guy had.
No, it's kind of like...
In Bellator, it's kind of not there.
Could be like, you know what? I am kind of going through... I got a big-time contract. Just let me train. Let me don't get hurt. And then we'll see how it goes. Because even his fighting style, people mark him for being a decision fighter, but he doesn't get hit that often. Effective striking style does counter striking as well. So maybe it's like I just go through the stuff and get paid no matter what.
And another good example is Rampage Jackson, where we saw him go back and forth. When he went back to UFC, he seemed a lot more like intense.
Yeah.
And when he went back, when he went back, he still looked kind of deflated to me too. I don't know. Maybe just the atmosphere. Maybe fighting off of bingo halls and whatever.
Yeah,
it doesn't really get that much.
They're going from casinos, and then when they go to these arenas, and they're not sold out. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe the energy in the air.
And what's funny is like pro wrestling's the opposite. I think if you put a wrestling show on a smaller scale, it's a lot more exciting. You put it bigger, it's not as exciting.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, we'll see if this theory has any traction to it when Roy McDonald first fights for Bellator. That hasn't been announced yet, but I'm pretty sure he'll get a title shot or fight whoever he wants to fight because there's the Red King and they're just a lot of money. So there you go. That's it for round number 4. We're going to come back and preview the UFC. Was it Fight Night, Albert? Or was it? It's a heavyweight bout, right?
It's I'll tell you exactly what it's called. It's UFC Fight Night.
UFC Fight Night, so do not go anywhere. All right, time for the 5th and final round. So next weekend, as previous the last 2 weekends, the UFC will have an event. I think for every weekend for the rest of the year, the UFC is going to have an event. So be prepared, guys. This one's going to be UFC Fight Night, Arlovsky versus Barnett in Hamburg, Germany. I think it's going to air exclusively on UFC Fight Pass. Main event, Andre Arlovsky versus Josh Barnett. Title implications or just a heavyweight fight we needed?
What did we say earlier? Title eliminator match
for Arlovsky.
Whoever loses is eliminated from the title run.
Arlovsky's coming off 2 straight losses, so he might be eliminated from the company after this. Josh Barnett, whose fights very few and often, his fights are few and far between now. What is he? He's all come a lot against Ben Rothwell. Before that, he defeated Roy Nelson, and before that, lost to Travis Browning. So I think he's just kind of going through the motions a little bit too now. I mean, I think a title shot for both these guys.
The only positive thing is this is the heavyweight division.
Yeah. And I don't care what you guys say that like, one win away from a title shot, but I think these guys are kind of on the back burner.
But then again, like there isn't any other heavyweights. What are you gonna do? Like you get rid of these guys, and then what? There's literally nobody there. I mean, you got Mark Hunt, who knows if he's even going to fight again.
He's dejected still.
And then you got a bunch of random guys at the bottom. I mean, you still have Antonio Silva at ranked.
Is Nogueira still ranked on there? Even though he's retired?
No, yeah. They finally put Nogueira out. Even Stefan Struve is in there ranked. I mean, it's weird because there is no heavyweights. And keep in mind, too, these guys are ranked pretty high. I mean, Arlovsky's 6 and Josh Barnett's 9. So they're reaching here. They're reaching.
I know the heavyweight division's super thin. So I guess you're right. I mean, win or lose, both these guys still have a job in the UFC.
Worst case, if Arlovski loses, he probably does a fight or two at World Series. If he wins, he comes back up.
No, I think if he loses, he's just going to continue to fight on the UFC Fight Pass, right?
Or that, yeah.
Because they need more European shows, especially having a show every weekend. And Josh Barnett, I mean, if he wins, it's
like he stays ranked
because he'll fight like another 8 months from now. So it's not
because okay, let's say Josh Barnett wins. What does he do? Face Ben Rothwell again? Junior Dos Santos?
Yeah.
Come on, like there's not really,
and you can't put him against Kane or Verdun or Miocic.
We're really digging in there for that, yeah, because it doesn't do anything for them.
Yeah. So anyway, so it's kind of for me, a lackluster main event, but I want to know, we do have an Alexander Gustafsson sighting, and I ask about him every week.
I was surprised. I totally forgot about Alexander Gustafsson.
He's got the co-main event against Jan Blak, which I'm pretty sure I'm saying it wrong.
That's perfect.
Polish fighter who is... What is he?
19-5.
19-5, but 2-2 in the UFC.
Yeah,
so
2-2 in the UFC.
Is this? Are they trying to build up a Gustafsson, or is this how they think of Gustafsson? No, you're fighting 2-2 guys in the UFC. Nobody we heard of in a card that nobody's going to watch because it's on Fight Pass in Germany because you were never that good to begin with, or they're trying to build them up again?
No, I honestly think they don't know what to do with them. And they said, "Look, it's a European card. Let's put them in there, and let's put them with another European." That's pretty much, honestly, that's exactly what it sounds, because a
great book in there by the UFC.
Because does it really? I mean, other than the fact that if he gets an exciting win, there's no real way that his stock goes up after this fight.
Yeah.
But I just honestly think they don't know what to do. They don't know if they should give him a top 5 or they should just use him as, like they did Michael Bisping for a while, where they kind of didn't know what to do with Michael Bisping, so they just put him in every UK card until finally they're like, okay, he's a contender now. Now we can put him back in there.
That kind of is what they're doing. Huh? That's a good point. They're going to Michael Bisping. Just fit him a bunch of tomato cans. He'll win. But the thing is, he's not as vocal as Michael Bisping. So every time Michael Bisping would be like a Jorge Rivera, I deserve a title shot. Well, you know what I mean? But I mean, look back. I guess it's almost uncanny how parallel it is to Michael Bisping, because like he'll defeat a Jimmy Wanoa, he'll defeat a Shogun, he'll defeat a Vladimir Makhachev, a Matt Hamill, James Tuhuna, but then he'll lose to John Jones, he'll lose to Rumble Johnson, and he'll lose to Daniel Cormier.
Yeah,
that's almost exactly like
Dan Henderson. That was the Michael Bisping.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Bisping. Sorry,
disorder where like he could be everybody below, but you put him in the top 5, he can't beat any of those guys.
That's crazy. I don't know why I thought about it. Maybe because I'm a fan of Gustafsson. That's why I'm not a fan of Bisping. But he seems to be that route. Maybe he's going to be main eventing the fight passes, and that's it. So hopefully not, because I think he got ejected from the John Jones fight,
speaking about a guy that you don't know what to do with, Ryan Bader's also on this card, and I don't know.
That's all. You got 30 seconds to talk about Ryan Bader, man.
Why is he in Europe? I don't know. But I'll tell you what. He's in there.
He is technically coming off a loss to Anthony Johnson, who is probably the number one contender. So, I mean, he is kind of up there, like you said. Maybe, I don't know.
The good thing about Bader is he's still in it. I mean, he can still do that rematch against Glover Teixeira. Who knows?
But just keep him away from anybody because they need striking power, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's it. I mean, interesting fight. Other than the main event,
good luck watching it. You have to wake up pretty early
for the Fight Pass.
The main event starts like around 3, so 12 or 12 o'clock.
And you need to have Fight Pass, which I still don't have. I should have.
No, and I will not. I read out a free trial, so I'm done with the Fight Pass.
Just doing a bunch of new emails. So that's it for this week's show. Make sure to tune in next week. Until then, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FiveRoundMMA. It's FIVE. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, and Podomatic. And please visit FiveRoundMMA.com. I want to give you a big thank you to all of our sponsors. First with Rocking Green eco-friendly cleaning products, the 5 Rounds clothing line, and of course RMA Foundation Redemption Martial Arts, Rise Up Against Bullying. You can also check out this podcast at our good friend FightBookMMA.com. That's FightBookMMA.com. This podcast and other great MMA podcasts. That's it for this week. Thank you too much for tuning in. Albert, what do you got?
Thank God I didn't draft Tony Romo.
And glorious weekend, everybody. Robbie Roode. Thanks, Cameron, for calling in from Orlando. Appreciate it.